Welcome to the Deep Dive. We've got a really great stack of sources today, all thanks to you. You've basically curated this look into, well, NFL football, but from some really different angles.
Yeah, that's right. We're looking at everything from, the history, the legends, to the players right now, the sheer athleticism.
Mental side of things, too.
Exactly, the mental game, and even, where the sport might be going next globally.
So our mission here is pretty simple. Jump into this material you've given us, pull out the most interesting, important bits, and basically give you the shortcut to being clued in on these specific NFL topics.
We're just here to walk through this stack you put together.
Okay, then, let's unpack this stack. We should probably start by looking back, right, at some of those iconic moments.
Definitely. The sources mention things like the NFL 100 Greatest Projects. That was a huge undertaking with the AP, right? An 80-person panel, tons of interviews,
Wow, yeah.
ranking the top 100 across all sorts of categories. Plays, games, characters, game changers, teams. It really shows you the depth of history there.
It does. And speaking of greatest plays, the sources pull out some real classics that, everyone remembers.
Oh, yeah. You have to start with Stovak's Hail Mary, 1975. Just a desperation heave, right? 50 yards.
And Drew Pearson pulls it down.
Exactly. For the touchdown, steals the win 17-14. It wasn't just a game winner, it literally gave us the term Hail Mary and, well, made Stovak even more of a legend.
Pure drama. And then just a few years later, you get the catch.
Montana to Clark, 1981 NFC Championship. Montana scrambling, Cowboys are all over him.
Looks like he's going down.
Right, but he gets the throw off back of the end zone, and Clark just gets his fingertips on it. Touchdown. They win 28-21.
And that really kicked off the whole 49ers dynasty, didn't it? Earned
Yeah.
Montana that Joe Cool nickname, too.
It absolutely did. A single play defining an era. But it's not always, the flashy offensive plays. One source brings up Sean Payton.
Oh, the onside kick. Super Bowl XL4.
Yeah, Saints are down 10-6 at halftime against the Colts, and Peyton calls a surprise onside kick to start the second half. Insane guts.
And they got it.
They did completely flip the game's momentum. Saints roll to win 31-17. That takes serious nerve on that stage.
And how about Darrell Revis? That interception for the Jets in 2010 against Rivers.
Oh, that was wild. Ball gets tipped, bounces off legs.
Like a pinball machine.
And Revis somehow cradles it while he's flat on his back. Just an unbelievable play, and it had huge playoff implications, too.
Even the expansion teams had their moments. Like Mark Brunell. Remember that scramble for the Jags against Denver?
Yes! The Broncos were huge favorites. Brunell takes off, like a 30-yard run.
And the key thing the source mentions is he stays in bounds to keep the clock running.
Right. Total awareness on a massive fourth-quarter drive. Sets up the winning TD pass on the very next play. Shows it's not just talent, it's grit.
Man, so many great ones. The source mentioned others too, like the Immaculate Reception, Music City Miracle, Barry Sanders doing impossible things. These moments become football folklore.
But there's one source that looks at scoring from a totally different angle. The art of the big man touchdown. Offensive lineman scoring.
Which is always great because these guys, they're the unsung heroes, right?
Yeah.
Their job is just to block, protect the QB, open holes. They're not supposed to be scoring.
Exactly. So when it happens, it's special. Everyone loves it. Inspired by guys like The Fridge, William Perry, Getting carries, catching passes back in the day.
What was interesting in the source, though, was the idea that the hardest part isn't always catching the ball.
Yeah.
Apparently, some linemen have decent hands. It's convincing the coach to actually call their number.
Yeah, getting that trust. You might have to prove it first. Like Donald Penn catching that deflection for a decent gain.
Right, almost by accident.
And that helped convince his coaches, okay, maybe we can give this guy a shot near the goal line. It's about earning that chance.
Okay, so building on that idea of, incredible plays and unique skills, let's shift from the history to right now. The sources really emphasize the athleticism of today's players.
Oh, it's off the charts. And a perfect recent example highlighted in the sources is that Garrett Wilson touchdown catch.
Oh man, yeah, the one-handed grab. Insane.
Totally insane. Corner of the end zone, fully extends, one hand, somehow snags it.
But the sources also talked about the catch rule, right? That's what made it controversial, or at least talked about.
Exactly. It brought that whole debate back. 2 feet down or another body part besides a hand or foot touching inbounds while you have control.
And in his case, the ruling was his shin grazed the turf inbounds just an instant before his knee went out.
Right. Which, feels a bit weird maybe. But the sources point out that specific rule about another body part counting, it's actually been in the rule book. It's not new.
So these amazing plays just push the boundaries and make us really look at the letter of the law.
Pretty much. And yeah, definitely a catch of the year contender. Puts him up there with the legendary one-handers like Odell Beckham Jr.'s.
In the same stadium, wasn't it?
Yeah, same stadium. And DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, that kind of company.
Speaking of amazing players now, one of the sources, I think it was NPR, noted how unusual this past season was for rookie quarterbacks. So many making an immediate impact.
Yeah, that's not typical at all. Usually rookies, they struggle or they sit for a while. Think about Brady, Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, they all sat initially.
But the Sporting News piece really focused in on one guy having just a historic season. Jaden Daniels for the Commanders.
Right. Heisman winner, top pick, just like Caleb Williams. But the expectations were, let's say, different. Williams went to Chicago, seemed like a better setup maybe. Daniels goes to Washington. New owner, new coach, team wasn't great.
And yet the sources argue he didn't just meet expectations, he blew past them, especially given that situation. Didn't the NPR piece say his jersey sales went through the roof?
Yeah, huge sign of the fans getting excited again in Washington. And the Sporting News source, it really lays out the statistical case for just how good his rookie year was compared to, well, all rookie QBs ever.
Okay, let's hit some of those numbers making the case. The source says he finished #1 all-time in rookie QB rushing yards, 891 yards. Beat RG3's record.
Which is huge in today's game, right? That rushing threat, like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, it's key.
Also, #1 all-time in rookie completion percentage, 69%. Better than Dak Prescott's rookie year.
Yeah, showing that accuracy right away, short and intermediate passes. Very reliable for a rookie.
Then #4 all-time in rookie passer rating, 100.1. Anything over 100 is considered elite, let alone for a rookie. Just behind Prescott, RG3, CJ Stroud.
And wins. #3 all-time in regular season wins with 12. Only Prescott and Big Ben had more as rookies. But the source notes he actually passed them in total wins because he took the team all the way to the Super Bowl.
Right, the playoff run. Combined TDs, passing and rushing, he was 4th all-time with 31. The source kind of suggests Washington's overall run game might have capped his personal rushing TD numbers a bit.
His passing yardage, 3,568 yards, that's number 15 all-time. A bit lower maybe, but again, when you run that much, it affects the passing volume.
But here's where the source says the argument gets really compelling. His playoff performance.
Yes, this is key. The source highlights his rookie playoff stats specifically. Ranks #1 among all rookie QBs in playoff passer rating, 116.2. #1 in completion percentage, 69.7%. And #1 in yards per attempt, 8.6.
Wow.
The source literally says he blew by guys like Brock Purdy and CJ Stroud, who also had great rookie playoff runs, in those efficiency stats.
Okay, so you take the all-time rookie records in rushing and completion percentage, the super high passer rating, the win total including reaching the Super Bowl, and that dominant playoff efficiency.
Exactly. That's the foundation for the source's argument that, looking at the stats, the performance under pressure, you can make a very strong case he's the best rookie quarterback we've ever seen, even before you factor in whether they won the Super Bowl or not.
That's a bold claim, but they definitely bring the data points from the sources to back it up. Fascinating stuff.
It really is.
All right, so we've gone from the past to the present, the iconic plays to the stunning stats. Let's shift gears again and look ahead, look globally.
Yeah, the Olympics piece. Flag football in LA 2028. The sources make it clear this wasn't random. The NFL really pushed for it after tackle got turned down by the IOC.
They see it as a way to grow the game internationally, right? New markets, kind of like what basketball did.
Exactly. The comparison to the Dream Team and how it boosted the NBA globally comes up a lot in the sources. Marketing is a huge part of this.
But it immediately creates this debate, which the sources get right into. If the U.S. is playing Olympic flag football, who do you send? The best NFL guys, or the players who are actually, playing flag football right now and winning internationally?
It's a real tension. The argument for sending NFL players, well, first, there's the prestige. The sources mention how much guys like Messi, Kobe, Agassi valued their Olympic gold, even though it wasn't the top prize in their main sport.
And let's face it, the sources describe NFL players as like athletic freaks, the 1% of the 1%, just on a different level. Physically, speed, quickness, jumping ability compared to most dedicated flag players.
Yeah, the sources mention a 4.840 is considered slow for an NFL skill guy, but that's faster than almost anyone you or I know. That athletic gap is seen as huge.
And the core idea is you need those stars, those household NFL names, to capture global attention and really make this Olympic push work for growing the sport worldwide, like the Dream Team did for hoops, jersey sales, TV ratings.
Right, and even though flag has different rules, no tackling, no blocking, smaller field, QB can't run past the line, the argument is that NFL players with their raw athleticism and maybe experience from like 7-on-7 in high school, they'd adapt super fast.
Okay, but then there's the other side, the flag football veterans.
And they have a strong case too. The sources point out the current U.S. flag teams, they won the last 5 international championships without any NFL players.
So they argue they're just better at this specific game. Flag football requires different skills, right? Like that short area quickness, dodging rushers you can't block, and actually pulling flags effectively, which isn't an NFL skill.
Yeah, one source mentions Daryl Hausch-Doucette, a pro flag QB, hoping the guys who built the sport get a real shot. And USA Football's CEO acknowledged they have a strong pool of current flag stars who set that gold medal standard.
So where do the sources suggest this lands? Seems like some kind of compromise.
That's the likely outcome mentioned. A tryout process is expected. USA Football says the current flag players will get their chance to compete. Someone even suggested a televised tryout between the flag vets and NFL hopefuls would be, quote, ratings heaven.
Well, I bet it would. What about roster size and stuff?
Speculation there too. Maybe a limit, like 1 player per NFL team, so max 32 guys potentially trying out. And this really interesting idea comes up in the sources. NFL players with roots in other countries playing for them.
Oh yeah,
like Amon-Ra St. Brown for Germany, maybe Lad McConkey for Ireland, Kyler Murray for South Korea, potentially even wilder ones if players have lineage, like Rodgers for Peru or Tyreek Hill for Saudi Arabia, assuming those nations' field teams and they're eligible.
Wow, that would add a whole other layer.
For sure. And some sources suggest maybe the U.S. team includes 1 or 2 pure flag players, kind of like the Dream Team had Christian Leitner, the college guy, as a nod to that side.
But there's a risk, right, if you load up with NFL stars and lose.
Oh, yeah. The sources call it an absolute embarrassment if an NFL-heavy U.S. team lost to a country the current flag team usually beats. But most sources seem to think that's unlikely, given the raw talent difference, especially if other countries don't have access to their NFL guys.
It's definitely a balancing act. Showcasing top athletes versus respecting the actual sport of flag football.
Exactly.
So whether it's Staubach throwing a prayer, Garrett Wilson making an impossible catch, or these guys potentially playing flag in the Olympics, what allows them to perform at that level? It's got to be more than just physical gifts.
Absolutely. And that's where the sports psychology source really connects the dots. It talks about sports psychology being this field that focuses on, the mental side, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, all aimed at performing better.
Things like mental toughness, staying motivated, handling pressure, keeping focused.
Precisely. And the source stresses how critical these are in the NFL pressure cooker. Managing stress and anxiety isn't just about feeling better. It directly impacts whether an athlete can actually use their physical skills to the fullest. If your head's not right, the body won't perform.
Motivation is key too, the source says, especially intrinsic motivation, that internal drive. That's what keeps players going through slumps, injuries, the grind of a season. Physical talent alone won't cut it long term. Psychology helps build that drive, set goals, maintain confidence.
And for teams, it's about group dynamics. A team isn't just a collection of stars. The source explains how psychology helps build trust, communication, that synergy you need to win together.
It also helps players deal with the negative stuff, right? The stress, the anxiety of big moments. Giving them tools to stay positive, bounce back from mistakes.
Yeah, building that resilience. So the source basically argues that sports psychology isn't some optional add-on anymore. It's essential. For individual careers, for team success, even for player well-being in such a demanding sport. And its importance is just growing.
Okay, so we've really covered a lot today, all flowing from the sources you put together for us. We went way back to the NFL's history, those iconic plays, even the fun big man touchdowns.
Then we jumped into the present, looking at just stunning athleticism like that Wilson catch. And we unpacked the stats behind Jaden Daniels' historic rookie season, seeing how the sources built that argument.
We looked ahead, too, at flag football hitting the Olympics, the NFL's global ambitions, and that whole debate the sources laid out. NFL stars versus flag veterans.
And finally, we tied it all together with the mental game, seeing how sports psychology, according to the sources, is really fundamental to performing at that elite level, managing pressure and building winning teams.
It really shows how much you can get when you do a deep dive into information from different places.
So what's the takeaway for you? Maybe next time you watch a game, you'll see it a bit differently. Think about the history behind a certain play type, or the mental focus needed for that clutch throw, or even imagine those guys playing on an Olympic stage.
And it leaves us with this final thought to chew on, kind of building on everything we've touched on. As football keeps changing, you've got new formats like flag, it's going global with the Olympics, there's more focus on the mental side. How does our idea of greatness evolve? Is it still mostly about those legendary tackle football moments and stats? Or does adaptability, mental strength in different situations, performing on different kinds of fields, does that become just as important in defining who the truly great players are?